Shalom, everyone. All wisdom comes from Yahuwah and is with him forever. That is from the book of Sirach, chapter 1, verse 1. The book of Sirach is basically, it is a book of wisdom. It is similar to Proverbs, but I think it is stronger meat. And I'm going to be reading from the book of Sirach, the book of Chokmah Shalomah, which is also the wisdom of Solomon, and also from the book of Enoch. Now, so right off the bat, just like to say that the Hebrew word for wisdom is Chokmah. So I'll be reading from the Cepher. These books are in the Cepher, 66 books of standard canon, plus 22 extra biblical books. Now this is from the Wisdom of Solomon. This is chapter 8, verse 21. Nevertheless, when I perceived that I could not otherwise obtain her except Elohim gave her me, and that was a point of wisdom also, to know whose gift she was, I prayed unto Yahuwah and besought him, and with my whole heart I said, and then he goes on to list a number of things in the next few verses. Now, on that note, wisdom in these books, in the Wisdom of Solomon and in also Sirach, wisdom is referred to often as her or she. So when I read, nevertheless, when I perceived that I could not otherwise obtain her, he is referring to wisdom. Okay, now we're going to cover a little bit about what wisdom actually is from a scriptural standpoint here. So first I'd like to read from 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 19. Paul writes, "For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Yahuwah. For it is written, he takes the wise in their own craftiness." Now when it reads, "For he takes the wise in their own craftiness," that is taken from the book of Job. Okay, but for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Yahuwah. Well, that is because basically this is Satan's world for the time being. So the things that are taught that say from the public education system or the information that government or media gives us, is a lot of it is untrue and a lot of it is not genuine sound wisdom. Okay, so that is why for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Yahuwah, with our Creator, with our Maker. And so we're going to learn what true wisdom is from the book of Sirach. Okay, Sirach chapter 1, verse 14. To fear Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, and it was created with the faithful in the womb. Sirach chapter 1, verse 16. To fear Yahuwah is fullness of wisdom and fills men with her fruits. Sirach chapter 1, verse 18. The fear of Yahuwah is a crown of wisdom, making peace and perfect health to flourish, both which are the gifts of Elohim, and it enlarges their rejoicing that love him. Chapter 1, verse 20. The root of wisdom is to fear Yahuwah, and the branches thereof are long life. Chapter 1, verses 26 and 27. If you desire wisdom, guard the commandments, and Yahuwah shall give her unto you. For the fear of Yahuwah is wisdom and instruction, and faith and meekness are his delight. Okay, so when it reads, if you desire wisdom, guard the commandments. And earlier, just a moment ago, we read from the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 21, okay, that it is a point of wisdom to know that wisdom comes from Yahuwah, okay, and that is whose gift it is, and it comes from him. All wisdom comes from Yahuwah and is with him forever. Sirach chapter 1, verse 1 as well. Okay, so on that note about if you desire wisdom, guard the commandments, there's a channel that I really like and listen to regularly. It's called Remnant House, and it is hosted by a man named Peter Michael Martinez. And I have heard him say on more than one occasion that and he does preach obedience to commandments, all the way. He makes a video every Shabbat, the Shabbat being Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. And I've heard him say that for those who are not keeping Yahuwah's ways and who are not keeping commandments, slowly they lose their mind. Slowly they become quote unquote insane. And it's like when you first hear this right off the bat, that might sound kind of crazy itself. However, in the New Testament, it is written that He has given us the power of a sound mind. And if all wisdom comes from Yahuwah, then who would He bestow it upon? Who would He give this to? Well, I propose to you that it would be those who are walking in His ways and guarding His word. Okay, so also when I read in these few verses about the fear of Yahuwah, what does that mean? Now, fear is, Strong's Concordance 3374, the Hebrew word associated with fear is yirah. And the word is spelled Yirah and simply means fear or reverence. Okay? So when I look at this, it's like the fear of Yahuwah, is the guarding of his commandments and His fullness of wisdom, of so forth and so forth. So it's like, what is laid down in the Bible, in the Torah, throughout the Word, in Proverbs, in Sirach, this is stuff that people will not necessarily guard that word if they do not have a healthy respect, a reverence, or a fear of their Maker. So it's kind of like when I first started the job that I work at now, when I first started this job working at a grocery store in June 2014, a little over 4 years ago, I realized that it was a situation, it was something that I could do, but there was also kind of a lot of mess that I walked into, and there was a lot of work that had to be done. And I knew that I had to hustle and work hard to get it done. And if I did not have that healthy respect for that situation, I might not have done what it required to get the job done and therefore to keep my job. So I had that fear, that healthy respect for that situation, that job that I wanted to have and keep. So I hustled and got it done and made a good impression because of that. Okay? But without having that healthy respect of that situation, I might have just come in and just kind of gone through the motions nonchalantly and not gotten it done and not been able to keep my job. So that is a good way, I think, to look at when you see verses that say the fear of Yahuwah. It's that healthy respect, that reverence for Him. Okay, but also, it's like, yeah, there's a healthy amount of fear given in any situation that keeps one in line, so to speak. So I think that this is what this is basically referring to when you see this. And you see this quite a bit regarding the notion of the fear of Yahuwah throughout the book of Sirach. And I just brought out a few verses here. So Sirach chapter 2, verse 15. They that fear Yahuwah will not disobey His word, and they that love Him will guard His ways. Okay? There you go, right there. But if you don't fear Him, if you don't have that respect for your Maker, chances are you're not going to guard His word, because His word goes against what our carnal nature dictates. And carnality in general rules the lives of men. Okay, and it rules their mind and what they want to do. They want to feed their flesh, and this is contrary to what the word reads. Okay, so here's an example right here of a specific commandment that is mentioned in the Ten Commandments. Okay, so this is chapter 3, verse 7 in Sirach. He that fears Yahuwah will honor his father, and will do service unto his parents as to his masters. Okay, now from the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 28. For Elohim loves none but him that dwells with wisdom. Now, that's strong right there. That's interesting. So again, it's like, where does wisdom come from? Well, it comes from Him. Who does He give it to? Those that guard His ways, those that love Him. Okay? So in return, He loves none but him that dwells with wisdom. Sirach chapter 6, verse 22. For wisdom is according to her name, and she is not manifest unto many. Wow. Okay. Sirach chapter 6, verses 26 and 27. Come unto her with your whole heart, and keep her ways with all your power. Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto you. And when you have got hold of her, let her not go. Now that's a very strong couple of verses regarding the value of wisdom. That you need to come unto her with your whole heart and walk diligently with her. That's Sirach chapter 6, verses 26 and 27. Itch my head. All right. Sirach chapter 6, verse 37. Let your mind be upon the ordinances of Yahuwah, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish your heart and give you wisdom at your own desire. Sirach chapter 19, verses 18 through 20. The fear of Yahuwah is the first step to be accepted of him, and wisdom obtains his love. The knowledge of the commandments of Yahuwah is the doctrine of life, and they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. The fear of Yahuwah is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the Torah and the knowledge of his omnipotency. Okay, so that's Sirach 19, chapter 19, verses 18 through 20. Okay, so verse 19 reads, the knowledge of the commandments of Yahuwah is the doctrine of life, and they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. Okay, there is a verse in Revelation that is almost identical to that. There's a very strong correlation here with Revelation chapter 22, verse 14. I want to say right off the bat that many English versions of the Bible, what it will read in Revelation 22:14, they that wash their robes have the right to the tree of life. Okay, but in the King James, and I believe what it should read is this, Revelation 22:14. Blessed are they that do Yahuwah's commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. Now that's powerful right there. This is something that all believers in the Word should meditate on a commandment such as it, or a verse rather, such as this. Blessed are they that do Yahuwah's commandments, that they may have a right to the tree of life. Wow. Okay, so, I just want to address the subject, the notion of legalism for a moment. I mean, am I preaching legalism here, or am I just simply bringing out what the Word actually reads? I'm just bringing out what the Word actually reads regarding being a doer of his word and a keeper of his commandments, and the association with wisdom and understanding with that very thing. Okay? Now, regarding the Torah, I am primarily referring to here, as far as his commandments being the Ten Commandments, the observation of the proper appointed times, which is laid down in the Torah, and that is not Easter or Christmas. Those are pagan counterfeit holidays. Okay? And now, we do not practice animal sacrifice because Yahushua, the Messiah, who is more commonly known as Jesus, is the perfect sacrifice. He is the Passover lamb, as when it talks about Passover in Exodus chapter 12, he is the Passover lamb. So what is written down in Exodus chapter 12 is basically a 1,500-year prophecy about the coming of Messiah and the slaying of the Passover lamb and being covered by his blood for your sin. Okay, and so on that note, I want to read Revelation, just to expound a little bit on the notion of legalism and obedience to commandments and the importance thereof. Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 12. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahuwah, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment rises up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receives the mark of his name. Now here is Revelation 14, verse 12. Here is the patience of the set apart ones. Here are they that guard the commandments of Yahuwah and the faith of Yahushua. Okay, so in verse 12 right there, it is talking about a group who is differentiated from those who have received the mark of the beast. And what differentiates them is they guard the commandments of Yahuwah and have the belief or the faith in Yahushua. Now this is a verse from Sirach regarding the notion of gossip. Okay, and I read this in another video, but this is something worth remembering right here. Sirach chapter 19, verse 10. If you have heard a word, let it die with you, and be bold. It will not burst you. Okay, so as I mentioned before in another video, it's like, we hear things about people and so forth, and sometimes we want to share that information, but it's certainly not always necessary to do so, and much of the time it falls into the category of gossip and sometimes even slander. So it says, be bold. It will not burst you. Okay, it's not going to hurt you to just let that word die with you and just, keep your talking of others to a minimum. Sirach chapter 27, verse 3. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of Yahuwah, his house shall soon be overthrown. Okay, a strong correlation in the Gospels in Matthew with that. Matthew chapter 7, verses 26 and 27. Yahushua says, and everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them shall be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain came down, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and they beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. Okay? So basically it's saying, when it mentions his house shall soon be overthrown in Sirach 27:3, it's basically saying his life. Okay? His life, unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of Yahuwah, his house or his life shall soon be overthrown. So it's like, in Matthew 7, verses 21 through 27, it talks about, building your house on a rock, which is the Word, which is Messiah, which is Yahushua, and then building it on sand is not building your life on His Word, and that when pressure comes in this world, you will just simply crumble because you are not founded in sound wisdom. You're not basing your life on the keeping of His Word. And this is the parallel here. But I think it's interesting that the way it reads is, a foolish man built his house on the sand, the same way, the strong correlation between, unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of Yahuwah, his house shall soon be overthrown. Okay. So John chapter 7, verse 16. Yahushua answered them and said, my teaching is not mine, but His who sent me. Now the reason why I brought that out is because in Matthew 7, he says, everyone who hears these words of mine. Well, who are these words that he is referring to? Yeah, these are his words that he's bringing out. But he's saying here in John chapter 7, my teaching is not mine, but His who sent me. Who sent Him? The Father, the Creator, Yahuwah. Okay? And so His teachings are based on what is laid down in the Torah, Genesis through Deuteronomy. Now, these are another couple verses that I think are very powerful, and that, once again, everyone who claims the faith, everyone who is a believer in the Word, a believer in Messiah Yahushua, should remember these verses right here. Okay, this is very important. This is Luke chapter 13, verses 23 and 24. And someone said to him, Master, are there few being saved? And he said to them, strive to enter through the narrow gate, because many, I say to you, shall seek to enter in and shall not be able. Okay, so when he says right here, strive to enter through the narrow gate, the Greek word associated with strive is agonizomai, Strong's Concordance 75. And the definition of agonizomai is to struggle fervently. Okay, so there is work to be done in association with entering through the narrow gate, as Messiah says. Okay, and that involves the keeping of His Word, the keeping of His commandments, not just intellectually believing in Him, but being steadfast in His Word and being a doer of His Word. Okay, this is exactly what it says basically in Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 27. Sirach chapter 29, verses 11 through 13. Now these are some good verses in relation to the subject of alms, A-L-M-S. And the definition that I get from my computer on what alms is food or money given to the poor or needy. So basically any practical help that can be given to help those who are in need, who are less fortunate, would be considered alms. So Sirach chapter 29, verses 11 through 13 reads, "Lay up your treasure according to the commandments of El Elyon, the Most High, and it shall bring you more profit than gold. Shut up alms in your storehouses, and it shall deliver you from all affliction. It shall fight for you against your enemies better than a mighty shield and strong spear." Now, how about that? Okay, that's good stuff right there. Here's another verse regarding alms in the book of Sirach. Sirach chapter 40, verse 24. "Brethren and help are against time of trouble, but alms shall deliver more than them both." And this just goes to show the value that our Father, that our Messiah sees in the helping of others, okay? And the sharing of your goods with others who need it. I mean, you read the Gospels, anybody who reads the Gospels will see that this is a strong component of Yahushua's teaching. Sirach chapter 38, verse 24. "The wisdom of a learned man comes by opportunity of leisure, and he that has little business shall become wise." That's 38, verse 24. So on that note, it's like we live in a world where this is Satan's domain again for now. We live under a satanic world system. We live under the beast system. I believe it is the fourth beast system that is prophesied in 4 Ezra, in Daniel chapter 7, and also the book of 2 Baruch. Baruch being a scribe of the prophet Jeremiah. This beast system is absolutely supremely evil. And one of the things that it does for us is it wants to create a situation where we don't always have the opportunity for leisure, and when we do have the opportunity for leisure, that there is a great multitude of what I call bread and circus, which people want to engage in that rather than actually studying the Word and seeking their Maker, as it reads to do in Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 3, and Isaiah 55, 6. Okay, it says to seek Him. Okay, but the wisdom of a learned man comes by opportunity of leisure, and he that has little business shall become wise. Okay, so this beast system wants to create business for us so that we are always focused on the concept of money. We have to work hard to keep a roof over our head, to feed ourselves, to feed our children, to keep clothes on our back, to keep clothes on our children's back, and so forth. But it also, promotes this notion that, kind of this, philosophy. I used to see these bumper stickers when I was younger. He that dies with the most toys wins. Okay, so this attain money, attain wealth, attain status, and so forth. And this is what's important. But once again, in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, that is not really truly wisdom. That is worldly wisdom. To collect these things and to gain status in the world would be considered worldly wisdom. So it's like in our society today, we are filled, at least here in America, but I believe the world over, we are filled with bread and circus. So it's like when the opportunity for leisure comes for people, that they're given all these outlets, and professional sports is one of them. It's like engage yourself in professional sports, and there's no shortage of this system providing the means to watch sports and to watch ESPN. There's endless commentary. And basically an endless amount of things can be said about sports and, sports players and all the drama that's in their lives and how much money they're making and what could have happened in the game and what's going to happen in the next game and so forth and so on. And a person can spend, way too much time engaging in this kind of circus, spending their leisure time doing such things as this. And I just use the example of professional sports, but there are many other, of course. I mean, why do you think it is that Hollywood just puts out so many movies? It serves as a distraction, but it also serves as an avenue for mind control, as a form of mind control. So it's like there's an endless amount of this type of entertainment, which usually has no value whatsoever. Now, of course, there are some good movies out there, but for the most part, it is garbage. Okay, and sports, it's like, this is why professional athletes make the millions and millions of dollars that they do, is to simply provide distraction, okay, a diversion, so that you are focusing on things that ultimately do not matter and not focusing on His Word, okay, and the attaining of wisdom by seeking Him and being a doer of His commandments, okay? This is what this is a tactic. This is a tactic of the enemy. This is a very powerful tactic of mind control that this beast system employs through just a great multitude of means. Okay, so on that note, I learned several years ago that when I was learning about this beast system, one of the aspects of it that I learned about was this organization in America known as the Council on Foreign Relations. And I'm just going to say that if you want to do research into the Council on Foreign Relations, if you're not familiar with it, there's a great channel called T.H. Kelly 67. That's THKELLY 67, and I'm going to include a link in the description box below. It's a two-hour discussion on this channel with James Perloff. And James Perloff is an author of a book entitled Shadows of Power about the Council on Foreign Relations, which he wrote in 1987. Okay, so this is an organization within this beast system that it's a very, very powerful organization. Now, the point that I was getting to is that I saw a few years back that the former NFL commissioner and the NBA commissioner, David Stern, were members of the Council on Foreign Relations. Okay, and it just clicked. It just clicked that I realized they are members of this elite so-called Illuminati New World Order organization, because their job is to basically oversee these operations of circus known as the NBA and the NFL. And what it is to do, it is to draw your attention to these activities which ultimately have no value whatsoever, but to get you to pay all your attention and give your emotional energy over unto these things and basically waste it. Okay? So I'm going to include a link once again to a 2-hour discussion. It's a good discussion with James Perloff on this channel. Also, I'm going to include links to teachings on the Father's name and the Son's name in the description box below. One of them is entitled Restoring the Creator's Name, Hashem Revealed. This is a great teaching on the Father's name. It is 1 hour and 10 minutes by the YouTube channel Messenger of the Name. Also, a teaching on Messiah's name, the name of Yahuwah. It is entitled What is His Son's Name? It's 1 hour and 48 minutes long, also by the channel Messenger of the Name. All these three videos will be in the description box below. Okay, Sirach chapter 42, verse 20. No thought escapes him, neither any word is hidden from him. Okay, so those that fear him, those that know that he is, and those that are seeking him, know of his omnipotency and the fact that he is all-powerful. So like it read in, let's see, where was it? Where was it that I read that? I'm going to find out here. Oh yeah, okay, so this was Sirach chapter 19, verse 20. The fear of Yahuwah is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the Torah and the knowledge of his omnipotency. See, many people do not believe in the power of his omnipotency. Many people do not believe this because this is, once again, this beast system does everything to convince us that he is either not real or that he is a God of nothing but love and fluff and so forth. And he is not that. And neither is Yahushua either. This is a false notion within Christian Protestant churches, is that he is just all about love. Yes, he is, okay? But love is discipline, okay? And love is the keeping of his commandments, all right? So, on that note, what I just read, no thought escapes him, neither any word is hidden from him. I want to read something here from the book of Enoch. Now, Enoch is also in the Cepher. Now, the chapter and the verses that I'm going to quote here, this is from the Cepher. So this is chapter 96, verses 15 and 16 from the Cepher. But there are many different versions of the book of Enoch, in many different formats, and sometimes the chapter and verse, changes. Okay? Now, this is in regards to him seeing everything and everything being recorded. Okay. 96 verses 15 and 16 from the book of Enoch. I have sworn to you, sinners, by the Holy and Great One, that all your evil deeds are disclosed in the heavens, and that none of your oppressive acts are concealed and secret. Think not in your minds, neither say in your hearts, that every crime is not manifested and seen. In heaven it is daily written down before El Elyon. Henceforward shall it be manifested. For every act of oppression which you commit shall be daily recorded, until the period of your condemnation. Now that should serve as a warning to everyone out there involved in serious crime, involved in the trafficking of men, women, and children the world over, involved in satanic ritual abuse, and involved in these evil and wicked programs known as the targeting of individuals, gang stalking, electronic harassment, voice-to-skull technology, these sorts of things right there. You need to read Enoch 96, 15, and 16 and meditate on that. And if you don't fear him, you will the day of your judgment. All right. Sirach chapter 43, verses 29 and 30. Yahuwah is terrible and very great, and marvelous is his power. When ye glorify Yahuwah, exalt him as much as ye can. For even yet will he far exceed. And when ye exalt him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. All right, there's great stuff here in the book of Sirach. I'm just bringing out a few verses here. This whole book is just fantastic. It might be my favorite book in the entire Word. But remember that Yahuwah is terrible and very great, and marvelous is his power. So I want to end this with this is a prayer at the very end of the book of Sirach, and this is also a personal prayer of mine. But I think it is wonderful. This is Sirach chapter 51, verses 1 through 3. I will thank you, O Yahuwah and King, and praise you, O Elohim, my Savior. I do give praise unto your name, for you are my defender and helper, and have preserved my body from destruction, and from the snare of the slanderous tongue, and from the lips that forget lies, and have been my helper against my adversaries, and have delivered me, according to the multitude of your mercies and greatness of your name, from the teeth of them that were ready to devour me, and out of the hands of such as sought after my life, and from the manifold afflictions which I had. I had some manifold afflictions in life, but he did indeed preserve my mind and my body through all of it. So I thank him every day for these things. Also, I just want to reiterate, seek him. Seek him now, as it reads in Zephaniah 2:3 and Isaiah 55:6. Thanks for listening.